Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Swares, or Cosmere curses, however you want to think about it. So a lot of writers will integrate like made up curse words into their writing in order to greater establish a sense of style for their writing style. But for Brandon Sanderson, whose writing style is often very straightforward and it lacks any like kind of flowery, like extra, kind of stylistic language to it, he still does add in a lot of made up curses that really works well to like further bolster his world building and integrate different parts of his society. So I really want to talk about a lot of those different examples here today. So yeah, with that being said, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you haven't done so yet, please check out the Patreon if you're interested. So with that being said, let's begin. So like I said, a lot of writers will integrate different made up curse words for different examples in their stories in order to greater emphasize their writing style and their language style, as well as to bolster a lot of the different nuanced parts of their world building. So Brandon Sanderson does this a lot in a lot of his stories, and not just the Cosmere. So while researching some of these different swears, I discovered the term Sander swears. So instead of just being like Cosmere curse words, it's like Sander swears because it goes beyond his Cosmere. So for example, in his Reckoner series, which takes place on like a contemporary Earth, it exists pretty much in a world like, say, today, a random star rises in the sky and suddenly everyone starts getting superpowers, and then 10 years later, everything is basically changed. He does this thing where 10 years later, we've changed different insults and things. So instead of someone calling someone a a-hole or a dumbass or something, like they'll say schlonz, which I think is kind of an interesting term, but it's also an interesting idea that it's only been 10 years since regular life. So the idea that we would have abandoned a lot of our typical turns of phrases is pretty interesting. And similarly, there's like the term sparks, which is like, oh my, or, so pretty much a term of surprise or exasperation. So I thought that was kind of interesting within that world because it's such a short time frame between regular life as we understand it and then jumping straight into, this completely different kind of environment, including turns of phrases and language. So that's fascinating. But also in his Alcatraz series, his Scott not I almost called it Scott Pilgrim, his Alcatraz series, a lot of the world building in the magic system is based around glass. So one of their turns of phrases that denotes exasperation, that's like an oh my god statement, they'll say shattering glass. So it kind of makes total sense because of how deeply integrated glass and glass systems are to their entire society. And this is also like a situation of it being like a hidden world up under the everyday world that we know. So it makes a lot of sense that they would have their own unique turns of phrase and everything. Unlike, in Reckoners, which is a little bit more of a stretch to the believability. So also in things like the Skyward series, like we have phrases like scud, which can be used as like dang it or darn or like holy crap or like that kind of thing. And I think there's another. I think they kind of use the same term, like as directly as an insult for someone, but it's more like scud brain, that kind of thing. It's more like an adjective in that term instead of just being like a noun. But again, Brandon uses this in like pretty much all his stories. I'm pretty sure in the other more obscure like non-Cosmere stuff, he does the same thing. But some of his most popular ones, of course, live in the Cosmere, and of course, some of the most favorite ones live in the Cosmere. So I want to talk about some of those today. So the most common phrase Brandon will come up with a new phrase for is like an "oh my god" or "holy crap" or a "wow" kind of thing. Expressions of exasperation, surprise, or disbelief. So a lot of his phrases like are incredibly varied too, like or versatile, I'll say, because they can be used in numerous ways in numerous situations. But some of the favorite ones, at least my favorite ones, definitely have to be the ones that come from like Elantris, like merciful domai. Like that really very much sounds like a religious kind of exclamation. It very much is an oh my god statement. And it kind of invokes that same kind of thing. It also has similar syllables too. So it kind of just, it has this familiarity ring to it, but it also works within the story because, to me at least, Elantris, the city, has this very reverent kind of religious feel to it. So for the main phrase that we hear used for exasperation or disbelief, often, having this religious connotation connotation to it, I think it just fits really well. Another great one comes from Mistborn Era 2, and we're of course in the like Industrial Revolution kind of steampunk era in Mistborn Era 2. So and the magic system in the world and stuff is very metal oriented. So for the main phrase that's often used to denote exasperation or surprise being rust and ruin, like I love that a lot because it also has a lot of variation to it as well. So it's an oh my god statement, but it's also like a angered oh my god. It's like it's a holy crap, why would they do this kind of thing as well. This is like rust and ruin, man, like what are you talking about? So it's like a oh my god, but it's also like a hurry up, spit it out. Like so, there's just a lot of nuanced kind of ways in which it can be used. It has like a very versatile kind of range of use for it. So a lot of Brandon's phrases like that will do that. Will have just a versatile way in which they can be used. Another good one, similarly from Mistborn, so it's kind of versatile in similar ways to Rust and Ruin, but by the Lord Ruler. So like that's often one that's like a huge exasperation, like wow, oh my God, which by the Lord Ruler, but it's also like similar to Rust and Ruin. Like if you're really irritated and something's like surprising or exasperating in the negative, you're like, oh, by the Lord Ruler. Like so, it like just works in various ways. Like I said, I will end up repeating this multiple times because most of Brandon's swears are very versatile in their usage. This next one is a pretty good one. It's an oh my god exasperated statement, but it's like pure disbelief. It almost has like no real usage outside of like a amazed disbelief. But it's one that I almost called him Brandon. It's one that Dalinar uses a lot. It's blood of my fathers. Like that phrasing, like it's a call to the ancestors and stuff. It's just an absolute phrase of disbelief, like I can't believe it kind of thing. And we often hear Dalinar using that phrase more than anyone else. And again, it's pretty versatile. It depends on the tone and the cadence in which it's used, but more often than not, this one is like a gasp of disbelief and like kind of again a little bit of exasperation to it, like a wow, but like a disbelieving wow. I guess it's just like a lot of these phrases are starting to make me think about the way in which like we have single phrases, especially in English, that are just incredibly versatile. And I'm sure every language has, singular words that are just ridiculously versatile. So it makes sense that, of course, even made up ones would be really versatile. Oh, and another one of my favorite ones that's really just kind of, again, it's a pure disbelief. It's kind of a more innocent disbelief, not like an angered disbelief. We hear it a lot from Ciri in the Warbreaker series, but it's Austri, god of colors. It's very much an, oh my god, I can't believe this. So they will exclaim Austri being the god that the Idrians worship more than, the Halandran returned people that they worship, and Halandran, the returned, they call them gods or whatever. So like they worship Austri, so like Austri, god of colors, like it's kind of it's a self-deprecating, almost supplicant kind of like exclamation, like kind of a plea almost. It's an oh my god and a wow statement, but it also has like this feeling of it being like a plea. It's like a mild prayer kind of thing. And their society is very integrated into their religion, which, integrates into their culture and everything. So it again works very well for the way in which it's used, because it's not very versatile, but it has this like nuance to the way it's used that gives it like greater meaning. So I just really like the way in which all of these in their own context are able to just be completely different, even though all of them are still kind of used in a similar way as, methods of exasperation or disbelief or surprise. So it's really cool that they, have this variety level to them. So some of the other ones that are often used by like younger characters in place of words like damn or crap or holy cow or whatever, like is oftentimes will be from Stormlight Archive, like storms. Storms is another one that's incredibly versatile, can be used in a number of ways, but is often used like as someone in place of saying like damn or crap or like kind of a frustration exclamation kind of thing. And another one is again Lord Ruler. Like Lord Ruler is very versatile. So instead of like by the Lord Ruler, if it's just Lord Ruler, then it's like an expletive kind of spat out. So it's again versatile and nuanced in the way in which just parts of the phrase will be used. And again, I mentioned before in Reckoner series, Sparks is also that one. That's very much a dang or crap or, a holy cow kind of thing. Like you can yell it basically before you have to run away from some enemies and that kind of thing. And of course, a very common one in Stormlight is damnation, which, because damnation is named that, is very similar to damn. So the word just obviously translates very well to the usage in the same way people use damn or crap or whatever. So like it just of course like works in that way. And that's one of the ones that I personally will use in real life, unironically. That and storms. Like I use those a lot. So not only do we have ones that are for exasperation and disbelief and that kind of thing, but we also have ones that are just like straight up insults that are just kind of low level generic, like everyday kind of insults. So instead of calling someone like a fool or a dumbass or something like that, you'd use a phrase like schlonz, which is another reckoner's phrase, which is just such a like it's so different than any kind of phrase that we use at this point. It's again one of those things that make you wonder how we moved away from regular phrasing to get all the way to something like schlonz, like within 10 years of the world changing in that way. But it has such an interesting sound to it that it sticks in my head at least. Oh, another good one from Stormlight is by the Ten Fools or of the Ten Fools. Like Stormlight has like just like a huge variation on them because they have the 10 heralds, and you can essentially swear by any of the heralds and any of their body parts. So that number of like different body parts and that level of mix and match kind of thing allows for like billions of swears essentially. So but of the 10 fools is like you can insult someone and say you're like so and so of the 10 fools because each of the 10 fools exemplify a specific foolish characteristic. So depending on what happened, you can say they're like this one of the 10 fools, or like if they're being really dumb, then they're all of them, or that kind of thing. So that one has versatility, but it also just has nuance and like levels to it that it can be used. And one of the really common ones also that Stormlight is like Storm's Cursed Fool. That to me feels like a compound one because Storms is often like damn, but Storms is the high storms are a big kind of negative thing, like it's a big dangerous thing. So it's used to denote greater emphasis or greater level of just kind of severity essentially. So calling someone a Storm's Cursed Fool is like you're as dumb as the storms are bad, like kind of thing. So that of course works, and that one I've only heard when it's like when you're trying to make this true like kind of point that this person is being stupid or says something stupid. So it's like that kind of thing. You often hear Teft call himself a Storm's Cursed Fool. So it has a lot of versatile usage to it, but it seems to be like a high emphasis kind of insult or degradation. And of course, probably everyone's favorite one from Stormlight Archive has to be Airsick Lowlander. So that's a Unalaki, one of the Horn Eater's main phrases, because they live high in the mountains. So basically, everyone that has too much air down in the lower lands, they consider them airsick. Like they don't have the right levels of air and stuff. So it just works so well as like an endearment insult, and like an actual insult, and like kind of just a gentle insult. It just works in a lot of ways. It's very versatile, but it also just is very like it can be very biting too, depending on who uses it and how they're saying it. So much like any other kind of term like this. But that's got to be one of the main ones that's used often in the fandom. The majority of the replacement curse words Brandon will use will basically be those. It'll be kind of the gentler ones, kind of the more subtle ones. He doesn't go into the very hard, bad curse words, and he doesn't really replace them. Even though some of the curse words that they have, they're so versatile that they could be used in replacement of some of the stronger curses that we have in English. But he doesn't really, he doesn't write his characters in a way in which they would use a lot of those. But like I said, with the variation and the versatility of the heralds and everything, there is numerous phrases that are very derogatory that come from the idea of invoking one of the heralds and one of their body parts. So like one that we've heard before is nails nuts. So that one again is a derogatory kind of exasperated phrase. Still very much a holy crap or I can't believe this, a disbelief type of phrase, but it's like explicitly more derogatory. So you could basically assume that it's the difference between a phrase like an oh my god versus a phrase like "holy shit." Like, you know, it could be kind of that kind of difference. So in terms of invoking a herald's name and their body part, like that just has like so many different mix and match options there that I couldn't even possibly go over all of them. But there's just all of them all over the place. So there's a lot of them that I didn't even mention in this video. There's a lot of them that exist in other books that I didn't even bring up here. But I think they're really, really fun, especially in the case of someone like Brandon Sanderson, who doesn't have a very specific or unique writing style. It's very straightforward. But the thing to give his prose more identity and more of a unique individual feel to them, he will add these very unique turns of phrase. And of course, as I said, they really do help to bolster the world building and to add a lot of nuance to the context of the culture and stuff. So I really like them. I think they are used really well, and a lot of them are a lot of fun. And like I said, so many of them are applicable to use in real life. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you use any Sanders swears? Do you use any unironically in real life? What are some of your favorite that come from the different books and stuff? Let me know about that in the comments down below. So as always, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you're interested, check out my Patreon, where you can get some uncuts and some early access and some reaction videos and stuff over there. So as always, I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.